The world held its breath at 23:47 UTC on August 3, 2125, in every major city across all continents. Screens flickered on in homes, offices, and public squares. Even the most remote research outposts in Antarctica and the tallest orbital observatories ceased their routine tasks to tune into the broadcast. All eyes were fixed on the figure behind the podium in the United Earth Capitol Dome, where President Elena Faraday raised her hand, quieting the murmurs of the assembled delegates. "People of Earth," she began, voice steady but grave, "for the past month, we have sought peaceful dialogue with the Gyrax Empire. We offered them our most generous humanitarian terms, access to our medical technologies, and assurances of mutual non-aggression." The large holographic display beside her shifted to a rotating 3D model of the Van Allen exclusion zone, showing the precise orbital corridor the aliens had breached. Yet they remain entrenched beyond the geostationary ring. They have ignored our final ultimatum. Behind her, the hologram's icy blue wireframe of the planet's magnetic belts pulsed ominously. A digital timer below it ticked down 11 hours, 59 minutes, 12 seconds. The crowd warfighters, diplomats, scientists, journalists felt the weight of those digits like a tightening noose. "For the sake of Earth's safety," President Faraday continued, "we will activate Defense Protocol Omega in 12 hours. I urge every nation to stand ready. But know this, we do not seek war. We seek to defend our home." A ripple of applause swept through the chamber, but on the streets below, the reaction was less unified. In New Tokyo, crowds chanted slogans demanding peace. In the Arctic Research Station, scientists exchanged anxious glances. In the orbiting habitat city Elysium, engineers hunched over consoles, calculating possible outcomes in silence. ISS Ascendant, low Earth orbit Admiral Lena Mireles floated in the zero-gravity module of the International Space Station. She'd spent the last decade spearheading the integration of Earth's disparate defense platforms into a unified command. Now, her personal quarters, normally a chaotic jumble of reports and model starships, lay immaculate. She unstrapped herself from her workstation and drifted to the observation port, where the curve of Earth lay swaddled in swirling clouds and the gentle glow of city lights. A soft chime notified her of an incoming secure transmission from Fleet Command. With a thought, she activated the link. "Admiral Mireles, this is Admiral Kohler of the 9th Fleet," crackled the voice through the intercom. "We have arrived at position Delta, 25,000 kilometers beyond the exclusion boundary. All weapons systems are nominal, awaiting your order." Lena's reflection in the port window looked determined. "Admiral Kohler, this is Ascendant Command. All units, civilian and military, are to engage Defense Posture Omega upon expiration of the ultimatum. I'm authorizing read-only pre-fires particle cannons, railguns, plasma batteries. Targets are any unauthorized craft crossing the Van Allen line. You have clearance." "Acknowledged," said Kohler. "The 9th Fleet stands ready." Lena ended the transmission and allowed herself a brief exhale. She consulted the station's tactical interface. Countless satellite arrays, unmanned drones, and ground-based laser batteries rippled across the digital globe. Every system fed into her central command matrix. She tapped a sequence to initialize the standby launch of the Aurora Interceptor Squadron, the final piece in the planetary shield. "Defense Posture Omega programmed," she murmured. "Let's hope diplomacy holds for a few more hours." Perth, 12 hours to 0 on every continent. The mood shifted from tense anticipation to weary resolve. In New Delhi, the Supreme War Council convened in a fortified underground chamber, its walls lined with statues of past leaders who had guided humanity through earlier crises. General Rami Malhotra stood at the head of the long marble table. Flanked by his deputies, "Review of assets," he commanded. "Tell me we're prepared." "Surface-to-orbit cannons are fully charged," reported Major Lee Wei. "Orbital drones are armed and in position. Terrasset 3 is recalibrating targeting arrays." "Missile silos," Malhotra turned to Colonel Anita Deshpande. "Can we reach any craft breaching 45,000 kilometers in seconds?" Deshpande said, "But we'll only fire if they cross the trigger boundary." Malhotra nodded. Good. Keep the civvies informed, but don't alarm them. Remember, we're defending, not waging war. Grassroots and fear. Meanwhile, ordinary people struggled to process the enormity of what was unfolding. In Johannesburg, 10-year-old Malusi and his sister Kanya pressed their ears to a crackling radio, listening to the president's voice. Their grandmother, Mama Zano, placed a comforting hand on each child's shoulder. "It's like the legends," she murmured. "All our stories of the sky people and the stars coming to judge us. But this is real." In Rio de Janeiro, a busker named Camila played a haunting melody on her flute in the deserted subway station, hoping to soothe commuters. Above them all, the sky itself seemed to hold its breath. Satellites detected odd energy fluctuations in the upper Van Allen belt, steel pulses of unknown origin that danced just beyond the safety of human detectors. Final preparations. 8 hours remained. On Elysium Station, engineers tweaked the Prometheus drone's AI targeting logic on the moon's Tycho base. Security teams patrolled the domed habitat, weapons ready but sheathed. In the fiery deserts of Nevada, test launches of the new anti-satellite bolts reached for the heavens in silent arcs of light. Back at the United Earth Capitol, President Faraday convened her closest advisors for a private video link. She looked tired, the toll of leadership etched in the lines around her eyes. "Reports?" she asked. "The Gyracs have not budged," Vice President Marquez replied. "No withdrawal. Their ships maintain position along the geostationary belt. We've intercepted their communications," Chief Diplomat Soren added. "They're debating internally. Some urge caution. Others want us eradicated." The president sighed, glancing at the timer on her desk. 7 hours, 12 minutes. Keep the channels open, but prepare for the worst. Once we hit zero, it's all-out defense. 0 hour approaches. The world ticked inexorably toward midnight. Pilots sealed themselves into cockpits. Admirals monitored reticles. Scientists ran final diagnostics in every corner of the globe. Humanity stood on the brink, united by fear, by hope, and by the knowledge that the next 12 hours could decide the fate of every living soul on Earth. And in that fragile moment of suspended time, as the last rays of the sun dipped below Earth's horizon, a single thought echoed in the mind of every person who stared skyward. If the Gyracs ignored our plea, will they ignore our wrath? The echo of that question hung in the air like a vow, waiting for the final verdict. The moment the doomsday clock struck zero, Earth's defenses roared to life. Across every continent, in subterranean silos and ocean-borne platforms, massive cannons and missile batteries unleashed torrents of fire into the night sky. Satellites dipped into orbital assault runs, trailing ionized exhaust, while autonomous drone squadrons streaked toward the Van Allen exclusion zone in lethal formation. From the deserts of Nevada to the icebound plains of Siberia, the world's arsenal glowed with the cold fury of a species defending its cradle. Yet amid the thunder of Earth's response, on the fringes of human sensor range, something extraordinary but terrifying occurred. As wave after wave of plasma bolts and particle beams cut through the static vacuum, above 36,000 kilometers, the Ninth Fleet simply disappeared. The first science aboard the flagship USS Leviathan, Admiral Elena Kohler, stood at the panoramic viewport, flanked by her executive officers. Through the reinforced transparent alloy, they saw green-tinged auroras dancing along Earth's magnetic belts, and then, through the resonance of their own tactical readouts, a message that froze their blood. Transient anomaly detected. Fleet transponder loop terminated. Ship locations untraceably. Lucianton Sindri's voice was strained. "Admiral, all 9 vessels have gone dark at once. Passive sensors show no warp field signatures, no jump nodes, no wormhole residues." The communications officer, Petty Officer Ree, flicked through consoles. "Attempts to hail are failing. Emanations at those coordinates just as cease." Kohler's heart hammered. "Report grid-wide. Are we still in visual range of Earth weapons fire?" "Negative, Admiral," replied Tactical Chief Borges. "We're no longer seeing the plasma trails. It's as if we're outside the engagement envelope. No visual, no telemetry." In the war room on Terrasset 7, tens of thousands of kilometers below, Admiral Lena Mireles watched the screens go blank. She glanced between the Earth-braced fleet map and her own crew. How can an entire fleet vanish in the middle of a battle? She muttered, "We need answers now." Panic in the command centers within minutes. The disappearance of the Ninth Fleet rippled through every war council on Earth. In Washington, D.C., the Global Defense Assembly erupted in chaos. General Marcus Brenner slammed his fist on the holodeble. "Explain this, Admiral." He demanded of Liaison Officer Commander Liu Ming, who had been monitoring the fleet status. "We have no data," Liu stammered. "As soon as our defensive grid activated, their transponders and shields dropped off the network. They're gone, no debris, no plasma trails, nothing. Are we under Gyrax electronic warfare?" asked Colonel Rodriguez, scanning the readouts. "Some kind of stealth virus, in theory," replied Liu, "but we'd see signatures. There are no anomalous M fields, no directed energy fluctuations. It's as if the ships have been lifted bodily out of our space-time continuum." Silence fell, punctuated only by the hum of tense consoles. Across the room, civilian delegates paled as the realization sank in. Earth's single greatest military asset had been snatched from its orbit. Desperate measures back aboard the ISS Ascendant. Admiral Mireles initiated every possible protocol to locate the fleet. She directed unmanned scout probes to the last known coordinates, while the station's quantum range sensors swept the nearby depths of space. Even the prototype neutrino gravimeters, still in their test phase, were brought online to sniff out any distortion in SPACETIME. In the cold hush of her command module, Mireles watched the swarms of drone probes fan out like mechanical pedals. Minutes passed, but those minutes stretched like hours in zero-gravity tension. Finally, a call crackled through. "Admiral," came the voice of Flight Engineer Takahashi, his tone hushed with urgency. "The probes have detected a structure. Not natural. It's some kind of containment field. A shimmering shell around several large objects." "Coordinates?" she asked. Takahashi floated over to the sensor display. "Marked here, just beyond L2. The geometry is impossible. Fractal facets folding in on themselves. And the gravity readings, they're all wrong. It's neither mass-based nor massless." Mireles closed her eyes for a breath, then keyed her console. "Lock onto that field. Initiate high-resolution scans. And ready the Prometheus interceptor for deployment. We're going in." A third faction as the Prometheus slipped away from the ISS, its sleek frame reflecting Earthlight. The command crew back home scrambled to decipher the new sensor data. Chief Scientist Dr. Amina Eddington pored over the readouts in the orbital lab. "These readings," she murmured to her colleagues, "aren't Gyrax tech. Their particle signatures are far too crystalline. See here this lattice resonance? Nothing in our Xenotech archive logs matches it." Across the network, Trasset 3's AI, nicknamed Tetra, flashed a warning. "Unusual energy swarms converging." On fleet coordinates, material analysis suggests nanite aggregates, nanite swarmlings. Dr. Eddington realized aloud. Self-assembling machines micro to macro scale. They could cloak, manipulate matter at will, even reconfigure a starship's hull. Admiral Mireles' voice came through the comm. "I'm close to the field. Sensors say the swarms form the barrier organizing the layers. They're moving ships inward." "Can you stop them?" Eddington asked. Mireles paused. "Not with conventional arms. The swarms dissolve incoming energy pulses, reconstitute on the far side. They're absorbing everything we fire. Then we need to disrupt their control signal," Eddington said, eyes alight. "If these nanites coordinate quasi-neural style, a pulse of random quantum noise might scramble their hive mind. Give you a window to break the field." Mireles tapped her gauntlet. "Send me the frequency map. I'll improvise." Descent into the unknown with the fretted tones of Earth's scientists streaming data to her. Admiral Mireles piloted the Prometheus closer to the shimmering nexus. The field hung in the void like a living jewel, a dome of fractal light, shifting and folding in on itself. Tiny specks of silver whirled along its surface, the nanite swarmlings. "Approaching breach point," she reported. "I'm going dark. No emissions, as ordered." She unleashed a pulse of quantum noise disruption, a complex wave of randomized amplitudes, targeted at the nanite's control bandwidth. For a heartbeat, The field's steady shimmer stuttered. Now, Mireles barked. She pressed hard on the plasma lances, sending twin beams into the faltering field. For a moment, the beams seared through the light barrier, trailing sparks of scattered nanites drifting away through the tier. The hulking silhouettes of the Ninth Fleet's dreadnoughts lay arrayed, eerily still, but the field snapped back with a vengeance. A shockwave of structured energy rippled out, shaking the Prometheus and severing its link. "By the stars," screamed Lieutenant Jull, her systems spiking with pressure feedback. The interceptor's sensors flared red as the dome's surface phase locked into a higher harmonic. The breach reckoned itself, stronger than before. Mireles cursed. "Abort. Pull us out now." Revelation and resolve back on Earth as the Prometheus limped to safety. The assembled war cabinets absorbed the grim news. The Ninth Fleet remained captive, and the mysterious nanite architects revealed themselves to be neither friend nor foe merely a third power asserting itself at humanity's weakest moment. In New Delhi, General Malhotra pounded the table. "These creatures, who are they? What do they want with our fleet?" Across from him, Colonel Deshpan pointed to the geopolitical map. "They intercepted the fleet right as our defenses got hot. They want leverage, our single greatest deterrent." In Moscow's bunker, Deputy Chief of Staff Ivanov solemnly stated, "We must assume they can do the same to any Earth asset. We're blind in space until we learn more about their capabilities." In Brasilia, President Katia Gomez addressed the globe. "Fellow citizens, we face an unknown adversary with technology beyond our comprehension, but we will not capitulate. We will learn their motives, rescue our fleet, and ensure Earth's survival." And thus, as Earth's defenses retracted to human-controlled space, diplomatic envoys and intelligence networks mobilized to unmask the interloper species. Was there a way to parley, to bargain for the fleet's return? Or would humanity have to storm the crystalline citadel that loomed in the void at untold risk? Admiral Kohler, held within that alien chamber, gazed out at the prismed light, her crew bound but unbroken. "We must gather intel," she instructed her science officer, Lieutenant Sunsun. "Find out who these conclave are, and be ready if Earth launches a rescue. We'll need every advantage to reclaim the Ninth Fleet, as both Earth and its missing armada braced for the next move." The silent dome beyond Lagrange Point L pulsed with fractal brilliance, a cosmic lockbox, holding Earth's greatest weapons and the fate of billions. And in that pregnant void, the balance of power had shifted. The war for humanity's survival had grown three-way, and only those brave enough to venture into the unknown could hope to tilt the scales back in Earth's favor. The void beyond Lagrange Point L was colder, darker, and more alien than any corner of space humanity had ever surveyed. When the shimmering dome round the Ninth Fleet reappeared, on long-range scanners, Admiral Lena Mireles watched with equal parts awe and dread as its fractal facets rippled with prismatic light. She had hoped to break the field, to rescue her comrades. Instead, she beheld a fortress of living crystalline within it, her fleet frozen in stasis, a fractured sky inside the USS Prometheus. Instruments screeched as the ship fought to stabilize its orientation. The dome's energy resonance had overloaded their controls, and for a moment every console blinked out in a cascade of white noise. Commander Takahashi's fingers flew over the emergency panels. "Stabilizers back online," he announced. "But we're still outside the field's breach zone. Its energy signature is too strong for another direct assault." Mireles exhaled, staring through the observation viewport at the distant silhouettes of the Ninth Fleet's cruisers and dreadnoughts. "There has to be another way in," she muttered. "A side channel, a back door in the Conclave's tech something our scientists can exploit." "Tetra's AI suggests," said Lieutenant Ramos, "that the field pulses in a 4-phase cycle. Each facet resets every 30 seconds. If we can match our nanoswarm disruptor to that cycle, we might open a temporal window." Mireles nodded, determination sharpening her features. "Plot a course that keeps us just outside the sonic convergence point. Ready the disruptor for a synchronized burst time into Phase 3. As the Prometheus edged closer, its hull reflecting distant Earthlight, the ship's crew braced themselves, each aware that failure would mean doom. but away from the shattered starlight of battlefields and the tremors of planetary defenses. They prepared to dive into the unknown. The Solarian proposition far below, on Earth. The sudden appearance of the crystalline dome had ignited a firestorm of speculation within hours. Every major broadcaster cut to live panels of experts offering fractal theories, gravitational anomalies, exotic dark matter constructs, even rumored sky gods from humanity's most ancient myths. None of it shed light on the reality. An alien power had seized the Ninth Fleet, and Earth's mightiest armada was now out of reach. At the United Earth Capitol, President Elena Faraday convened an emergency session of the Orbital Congress. From her seat on the dais she addressed the assembly, senators, generals, and civilian technocrats alike. Citizens of Earth, she began, voice carrying in the vast hemispheric chamber. We face a three-way conflict. The Gyrax remain poised to strike. Our defenses were activated and have now withdrawn to avoid collateral damage. And a third force whom we know only as the Solarian Conclave holds our fleet captive. A mapped hologram of the dome floated above the assembly, its crystalline geometry refracting the lamplight into shifting rainbows. Gasps echoed through the rows. Our scouts, continued Faraday, have intercepted a channel in perfect English, not a translation leak, but direct communication from the Conclave's emissaries. They demand parley. They claim they rescued our fleet to prevent its destruction, to force a ceasefire, but offer a single condition. Earth must abandon all offensive weapon arrays and submit them for neutralization. An uproar of objections and applause filled the chamber. Senator Lee Wei brandished a stylus at the hologram. They overstepped their authority. We have treaties only with the Gyrax. Who gives them the right to disarm us? General Rami Malhotra rose, steel in his gaze. The Conclave has power over all orbital theaters. They can pull out any assets they deem provocative. We either negotiate or risk total helplessness. Amid the commotion, President Faraday raised a hand for silence. I will open negotiations. She declared, we will send an envoy led by Admiral Mireles herself under a white light flag. We will seek terms that preserve our sovereignty. May we find wisdom in this peril. 3. The chamber of light aboard the Leviathan. Admiral Elena Kohler stood in the immense crystalline chamber, its walls shifting in spectral waves, each surface alive with the hum of quantum harmonics. Her crew remained in stasis fields, their armor and equipment suspended as if in a slow-motion dream. The air tasted of charged ions and impossibly pure geometry. Through augmented reality visors, every officer could see the delicate latticework of the Conclave's technology, veins of glowing filaments connecting vessel to dome, nanite swarms weaving through open corridors like mechanical schools of fish. It was beautiful, if terrifying. Then, at the far end of the hall, a figure emerged, tall, lithe, and composed of fractal light. Its form shifted between humanoid and crystalline abstraction. Every movement created star-like sparkles. When it spoke, its voice resonated directly in the mind. Admiral Kohler, it intoned. We welcome you to the Solarian conflux. The figure's edges rippled. We apologize for the abrupt relocation of your fleet. Our intent was preservation, not provocation. Kohler's jaw tightened. Preservation under whose terms? We demand to know. What do you seek with Earth? The Solarian's fractal face folded into a semblance of empathy. Balance. The Gyrax Empire is on the brink of unleashing a weapon of mass extinction upon your planet. We could not allow such genocide or the subsequent escalation that would consume this sector of the galaxy. Kohler's shoulders stilled. Then why hide us? Why not broker a ceasefire without abducting our ships? Because only when both sides feel equally threatened will they consent to dialogue. The Solarian replied, your fleet's removal forced a pause in hostilities. Neither Gyrax nor Terran has the power to unilaterally resume full-scale assault. Kohler studied the figure. So you're playing referee or jailer? Neither, the Solarian intoned. We are guardians of equilibrium. We will return your fleet when you agree to a temporary truce and disarmament discussion. We will oversee the process to ensure compliance. A murmur ran through the officers. Kohler's mind raced, concede and regain her fleet, but at the cost of Earth's autonomy over its own weapons. resist and risk losing the Ninth Fleet forever. 4. In the shadows of science back on the Prometheus, Admiral Mireles reviewed high-resolution scans beamed from the Leviathan's reconnaissance drones. Chief Scientist Amina Eddington hovered over the holo-display, tracing the nanopathways. These swarms are semi-sentient, Eddington explained. They communicate via quantum entanglement pulse trains. The dome's lattice functions as a giant neural net, every facet a neuron in a galaxy-scale brain. Lieutenant Ramos tapped the display. I've isolated the control frequency. If we send a targeted counter-entanglement signal, we might interfere with the entire network. Mireles' brow furrowed. That could collapse the dome, but it might also kill our own fleet. We don't know if the stasis fields preserving them depend on the same network. Eddington nodded gravely. It's a gamble. Either we accept the Conclave's terms or we risk one final strike. That could cost us everything. Hands on deck. Silence settled as the two admirals weighed the options. A precarious negotiation that ceded power to the Solarians, or a desperate gambit that might doom the Ninth Fleet and reignite war with the Gyrax below them. Earth's defenders held their breath, awaiting the envoy's verdict. A rift of trust in the Capitol dome. President Faraday conferred with her envoy team. In a secure holo room, Admiral Mireles appeared, flanked by Dr. Eddington and Diplomat Soren. Faraday's face was etched with resolve. Admiral, she began, we expect a full report. What did the Conclave demand? Mireles' voice was steady, but weary. They want all offensive arsenals reproduced for neutralization under their oversight. In exchange, they release my fleet and broker a ceasefire with the Gyrax. Soren frowned. That's an untenable surrender. We'd be so exposed, no deterrent, no leverage. Faraday's gaze was unwavering. Our remaining defenses hold. For now, the Conclave's portals surround every orbital theater. They could do as they please. If we refuse, they land, I quote, extract any asset deemed non-compliant. That's our entire military, Eddington interjected. But research continues. If we cooperate, we learn their technology. We could adapt it, improve our defenses, even find a way to control the portals ourselves. President Faraday weighed the words. So we buy time, regain our fleet, and gain their trust, then find a path back to sovereignty. Mireles met the president's eyes. It's our best option. If we stall now, we risk annihilation or indefinite captivity. The edge of decision as Earth's leaders prepared to accept the Solarian terms. The Ninth Fleet's officers, once captives, now cautious allies, gathered in the Leviathan's grand observation gallery. Crystalline columns framed the view of Earth's cerulean orb, its continents still bristling with defensive arrays. Admiral Kohler spoke quietly to her captains. We agree to the Conclave's initial ceasefire proposal, but we will not meekly hand over our sovereignty. We will seek to convert our weapons into defensive platforms under our own command, and we will use this respite to learn every secret of their technology. Chief Engineer Sun nodded. We can reverse engineer their stasis fields, their neural net lattice, in time. We'll hold the keys to these portals ourselves. Kohler's voice hardened with purpose. Then let us be the architects of our own freedom. We will play their game only to win it on our terms. At 14 o'clock UTC on August 7, 2125, the Orbital Congress Center in Geneva, an immense ring station, suspended above the Swiss Alps, buzzed with anticipation. Inside its glass-domed plenary hall, delegates from Earth's major powers, representatives of the Gyrax Empire, and the enigmatic Solarian Conclave assembled beneath the soaring dome of reinforced crystalline alloy, hovering above the central dais. A holographic model of the Van Allen exclusion zone pulsed with teal light, marking the lines no fleet dared cross. President Elena Faraday stepped onto the platform, flanked by Admiral Lena Mireles and Chief Diplomat Soren. In the front row, Admiral Elena Kohler and her Ninth Fleet officers sat in immaculate dress uniforms, no longer captives but honored envoys. The murmurs stilled as the Solarian commander, a fractal humanoid wreathed in shifting light, glided forward to occupy its lectern. Honored delegates, intoned the commander in perfect harmonized galactic common. The Solarian Conclave presents the terms of ceasefire and disarmament. All belligerent weapon arrays shall be submitted for neutralization under conclave oversight. In reciprocation, the Ninth Fleet will be released to Earth's control, and all Gyrax forces will withdraw beyond the exclusion boundary within 24 hours. A hush fell, cameras whirred, holo-recorders captured every nuance. President Faraday inhaled, steeling herself for the onslaught of debate to come, too. The tempest of voice-assassinator leeway of the Terran Republic rose first, voice sharp with indignation. These terms strip Earth of its sovereign defenses. How can we trust an alien faction to neutralize our weapons without subverting us? General Rami Malhotra followed, brow furrowed. If we demilitarize completely, we become sitting targets for the Gyrax once the Solarians depart, or worse, for any other opportunistic power. From the Gyrax side, Delegate Drax snarled through a vocal modulator. Your planet teeters on the brink. We accept the ceasefire, but we reserve the right to maintain defensive patrols. Your kind has proven untrustworthy in the past. In the back, whispers erupted among the asteroid colony delegates. None had the firepower of Earth or the Gyrax, but all feared being caught in the crossfire of cosmic empires. President Faraday raised her hand. Let us not forget why we are here. The ultimatum we issued to the Gyrax was a plea for peace, and when it was ignored, we prepared to defend our world. Now we have a chance to forge a new path, one that does not hinge on the threat of annihilation. She turned to the Solarian commander. Your intervention saved billions of lives, and for that we are grateful. But sovereignty is not merely the possession of weapons, it is the right to decide our own fate. We propose a revised framework. Earth will present its offensive arsenals for conversion, not neutralization. We will dismantle their warheads and repurpose their launch platforms as orbital defense and humanitarian aid vessels. All conversion processes will be transparent and co-managed with Solarian engineers. A ripple passed through the hall. The Gyrax delegate hissed. The Solarian commander's fractal form paused, facets refracting in thought. III. Covert gambits meanwhile. Unbeknownst to the summit attendees, Admiral Kohler and Chief Engineer Sunsun had activated a covert operation. Using the diplomatic escort granted by the Conclave, a team of Ninth Fleet technicians smuggled nanoprobes into the summit's maintenance conduits. Their mission, to map the Solarian portal network and discover any hidden backdoors that could be used should the Conclave betray Earth's trust. Working in the station's underbelly, Kohler's team threaded through access tunnels, guided by Sunsun's schematics of the dome's quantum lattice. At each junction, they deployed crystalline beacons that swept local subspace for portal frequencies. Every pulse they recorded chipped away at the mystery of the Solarian network, and at every step, the hum of alien energy reminded them how fragile their gambit was. On the plenary level, Mireles watched the deliberations escalate when Senator Rodriguez of Brazil called for a formal vote. Tensions spiked. The hall divided almost evenly between hardliners, demanding full disarmament rejection, and moderates favoring President Faraday's compromise. The Gyrax delegate threatened to walk out if any mechanical weapons remained under human control. In that crisis moment, the Solarian commander intervened. An amendment, it proposed, that Earth's conversion vessels will undergo joint Earth-Gyrax Solarian inspection. We will establish a tripartite council to oversee the process. Only when the council attests to satisfactory conversion will all portal locks retract, and all warships including the Ninth Fleet are returned to their home commands. The offer placated enough delegates to carry the vote. A hush settled as the tally flickered above the days. 278 in favor, 72 opposed. The amendment passed. 4. The return moments later, a ripple of teal light washed across the plenary hall. The Solarian commander raised a glowing hand. As pledged, the Ninth Fleet shall now be returned, it declared. Outside the station's main viewport, the void shimmered. One by one, the mighty dreadnoughts, cruisers, and frigates reappeared, no longer suspended in the alien dome, but drifting in Earth's orbital corridors. Their hulls gleamed, their crews emerged from stasis, fields blinking. Cheers erupted in the hall and across Earth's communication networks. Admiral Kohler, now back in command of her fleet, reached out to President Faraday's console, Admiral to Capital. She said, voice rich with relief, all units operational. Fleet restored. Welcome home, replied Faraday, her eyes misting. Let us begin the work ahead. Conversion and caution within hours. The Tripartite Conversion Council convened aboard the Conflux Station, a neutral platform at L, rebuilt from captured conclave modules. Under the glow of alien engineering arrays, Earth's best weapons specialists worked side by side with Gyrax technicians and Solarian architects to dismantle warheads, recode launch protocols, and retrofit railguns into kinetic debris clearance, systems for orbital litter removal. Every step was recorded, every process audited. The Solarians provided access to subspace frequency logs, enabling Earth scientists to model the portal network's behavior. Diplomatic channels remained open with the Gyrax, whose warlords eyed each converted platform with guarded hope. Yet even as disarmament progressed, President Faraday maintained vigilance. We owe the conclave for preserving our fleet, she declared in her address to the world. But let us never forget that true security rises from unity and wisdom, not dalliance with powers beyond our ken. We will learn from this experience, grow stronger, and stand ready to defend our home on our own terms. The Epilogue. A new dawn. Weeks later, the Conversion Council formally dissolved the last warhead cluster. At the ceremony, President Faraday, Admiral Mireles, and Admiral Kohler joined the Solarian commander on the dais. The glass backdrop framed a view of Earth's gleaming defense array. No longer weapons of mass destruction, but beacons of cooperation, orbital farms, solar collectors, medical relief platforms. That the commander spoke, tone both solemn and serene. Balance has been restored to this system and too many others across the galaxy. Yet equilibrium is a living principle. Should any sign of aggression reemerge, we will return. But until then, we stand as allies. Faraday stepped forward. We accept your pact. We pledge to steward this peace and to honor the gift of life you preserved. As applause echoed through the hall, Kohler and Mireles exchanged glances. They had navigated the abyss, outwitted cosmic architects, and reclaimed their fleet, and in doing so had forged a new era for humanity among the stars. Yet beneath the surface of triumph lay a quiet resolve to master the technology they had borrowed, to guard against dependence, and to remain ever vigilant in a galaxy where even friends could wield power beyond imagination. For Earth's final ultimatum had been ignored, but through courage, cunning, and unlikely alliance, humanity had rewritten its destiny, and no alien force could ever hold its future hostage again.